Okay, everybody, welcome to Northern Fell Running, and welcome to our very, very first ever
interview.
Wow. And we've got a very special guest couple. Please, everybody, welcome the trail running couple. Hi, guys.
Hi. Hello, Northern Fell Running.
Now, if you don't know who the trail running couple are, here is a little clip to tease you to their channel. Check it out. Wow.
Good.
It's a great clip. Great.
I think we'll have to do something like that, Graham, won't we?
Well, we might have to go and climb up some ridges and mountains to compete with these two, though.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Now, just before we start our little interview, I thought we'd explain to everybody how we met. And it basically started, I started watching your channel first. I was hooked in, and then we bumped into each other at the lap at the registration.
Yes, we did.
I recognised you coming down the stairs and collared you. And we've started a little sort of online friendship now. We follow each other, and we've met each other at the Goat.
You have?
And no, we'll talk about that later, Lee.
I'm sure we've got a few about that.
So we've started up this nice little friendship. Our channels are quite similar, and we thought it would be a nice opportunity to ask each other some questions, introduce you to our subscribers, and hopefully your subscribers to us. So I'm going to hand it over to Lee now, who's made some very...
It's question time, is it?
It's question time.
Question time.
And we'll just have a chat around the questions. So let's go.
Right. So I'll just dive straight in. First question. So where did it all start? How did you get into running and ultras? And how did you meet?
Oh.
Wow, that's
Well, you can start.
okay. How do we get into running? Me personally, got into running probably the back end of 2015, so really not that long. Used to do a lot of karate, started to get a lot of aches and pains. Decided with all the stretching and stuff that we did with karate, decided that I would try something different. I was fed up of karate anyway, so I decided to try running. Went on a treadmill.
Flashing in the 80s,
Gary. nearly died on a treadmill. Joined a local running club and started there. And funnily enough, that's where I met Cheryl.
Yeah.
At the running club.
At the running club, yeah. Where you
I started running. Me and my friend decided to go running while the kids were dancing. So we decided that we were going to go out running to fill the hour session. So the first one killed me, and from then on we just did a little bit more and a little bit more, and we entered a 10k, and then we did a half marathon, a marathon, and then I decided to double it and did that. And then after that I signed up for Race of the Kings, and at that point I thought I best join a running club and try and find someone who actually knows what they're doing. because it was all off-road, that one, so I had no experience of that. And yeah, that's where I met Gary.
She met me, and all I had done at that moment in time was a half marathon.
That's
So
it.
yeah, maybe not the best
So
person.
she dragged you into ultras, and is that the way it was? Yeah.
She most definitely dragged me into an ultra because, like I say, I'd done a half marathon. Cheryl had done probably 3 or 4 marathons at the time. I always looked upon a marathon runner as this elite runner. It was this thing, growing up, that you see people running marathons, and you kind of like envisage them being like super athletes, and you think to yourself, I'd love to be able to run a marathon. I always convinced myself that's not something I could ever do. Cheryl told me, you really should try that. So we started training long runs at weekend, and there I did Manchester Marathon. That was my first marathon. That was all right. Dipped under 4 hours, so I was happy with that. And then we started training on trails.
I signed him up again for Race to the King,
Race
to the Stones.
Yeah.
And after that, he signed me up for Howgill's Marathon off-road, up hills. So we sort of challenged each other and pushed each other into new things.
New territories.
So,
and
We missed out marathons, didn't we? We just went straight to ultras.
We did, yeah.
Half marathons and then straight to ultras.
Yeah. Yeah.
I must admit, like I say, we went to ultras, and it was a.
We like the marathons, but it got to a point where you're trying to beat your own time, and you get to a certain point where you can only go so fast. You can't go any faster. You're getting frustrated, so you move on to an ultra. You can then slow your pace down. You got to eat food. You get nice surroundings, so it's just an all different experience and more fun.
There's more kudos for running further, isn't there? Let's face it.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely.
It becomes less about time, doesn't it? It becomes less about time when you're running them longer distances.
Less about time and more about the overall experience. It's been described by many people as running picnics, and we like that. Like I say, real food, good time to chat to other runners. You got hills. We don't, there's no pressure. Don't run the hills. Walk up the hills. It's fantastic. Good banter with people all the way around, and we just love the ultra mentality.
Time for question 2.
Yep.
Yeah. So, while you've been doing all your adventures and your ultras and your scrambling, has there been any close calls or actual accidents?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. This is we have a small video. It's not something I've ever put up because it's not something I like to go back on. But we was going up a scramble in the Peak District, and there's like a waterfall section. Now the water was running quite quickly on that day, and it's quite cold. I went up. I was on a ledge, and I went under the water. The water hit me on the head, and it was incredibly cold, and it dazed me for a second. So I've got underneath that. Now I've continued scrambling up, and I got to the top. So I'm at the top. I was literally pretty much down on my knees. I was shaking because I was stuck as well going up there. The ground was very, very iffy. I didn't like it at all. It was not a good climb. I said to Cheryl that it's a bad idea. Please don't do that. There is an easier way up. Take the easier way. Cheryl being Cheryl, no, I'm going up the way you went. So Cheryl's gone. She's gone under the water. She's got dazed, got herself stuck, come backwards and fell off. And when I say fell off, she fell down, got to have been, I don't know, it wasn't, it probably about 7 meters or so, and she's gone down, but she's very fortunate. And this is the Peak District. It's very, very rocky. She's landed on her feet. So I thought, best case scenario, she's broken a leg. Honestly, I thought that was best case. I've literally had to come down to get to her. And she's literally, all she'd done is twisted an ankle, and she'd had an awful gash in her knee, which she's caught on a rock as she was coming down, as she's fallen down. Yeah. That I honestly thought my life ended just in that split second. Honestly, it was a horrible experience seeing that happen. But yeah,
was somebody airlifted from a waterfall yesterday. It was on the news from the Grey Mare's Tail up in Moffat. Okay. They dropped 10 meters and they were sucked down through the waterfall, through the channels, and then they were airlifted. It was on the news yesterday.
This was straight onto rock.
Yeah.
But she's very fortunate that she went down feet first. If she'd have gone backwards and she'd have banged her head, I think that would have been all different.
Just bandage my knee up.
All different.
Put an ankle strap on because we carry all the first aid kit. And then was it a 2-mile walk back to the car?
It was more than that because of where we are, we couldn't scramble back down. We had to continue going upwards. Obviously, this time up the easy way. then across peat bogs,
Yeah.
and back down the Pennine Way, back to where we parked. So literally, when you'd done that, we hobbled another 4 miles or so to get back.
Did you say though, Gary, when you got down to it, did you say, "I told you so"?
I've said it many times. I honestly have said it many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something we've always considered. Do we put that up on the internet? But it's just kind of like I've watched it every now and again, and it just gives me shivers just seeing that and how different it could have been. And yeah, I'd say that was an extremely close call.
People love stuff like that, man. I bet you'd get your most viewed video. It'll be your most viewed video if you put that up.
It's all about the likes for you, isn't it, Lee?
Hey.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. So I would say that is our closest call.
Question 3. I can't read your writing.
What does it mean to you, and why do you do it?
Yeah. What's that a bit there?
What does it do for you?
Yeah. So what do you get out of it basically? Why do you do it?
To me, it's for my well-being, to keep me active, keep my mind on something, and a challenge to keep pushing myself and give me a reason to get out the door and keep going. And the ultras and the mountains, they're all a new challenge, so it's some excitement added into it to make me go and keep fit and healthy, and that's probably my reason. What about yours?
My reason, I like the challenge. I like to push myself. We get one life, we got one body, let's use it. We sit there and we plan routes, and it's kind of like, well, if we go around here, we can get another 2,000 foot of elevation. We can do this, we can do that.
You love your elevation, don't you, Gary?
Honestly, it's all about.
You love it.
Yeah, I think we're just under 350,000 foot of elevation last year, so we do try to do a lot. But yeah, it's all about making it difficult. We've had many people ask us, why do we do it if it's so bad, and it's just, well, it might seem bad, and sometimes it might look really bad. We might look like we're in pain, but at the end of the day, we get an awful lot from that, and I take it as a challenge. And once we beat it, it's just on to the next. So yeah, well, we can keep doing it. I
thought you were going to say it's because karate's not cool anymore, like me. But I mean, as well.
It's not cool at all. Ultra running's cool. That's what it's all at.
Question 4. What would you say your best, most memorable, or greatest achievement is so far?
Apart from meeting us.
Apart from that, obviously.
So our second best. I'd say that we always. In fact, this was Cheryl's dream. This really, and I spent probably, I don't know, 2 years saying don't be ridiculous. Cheryl always wanted to do 100 mile, and I was like, 100 mile. Who in the right mind runs 100 mile? This is ridiculous. Madness. So even to getting to the point where I said, okay, all right, I'll now entertain the idea. So yeah, we entered the North Downs Way 100, and I don't know about you, but I like numbers. I love numbers. So like you, Graham, when you ran that 9.97 mile, that
you didn't like that, did you?
That messed me up. 9.97 miles. Who does that? Anyway, get out there and do 0.03. Anyway, so as we're doing the 100, so yeah, obviously we entered the 100. We're doing the 100, and just watching that Garmin watch just turn from 99.99 to 100. That was a moment. I enjoyed that, and I think that was very, very satisfying, and probably my most satisfying to just see 100 mile on my watch.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like, yeah,
these numbers that you talk about, they seem impossible when you start running, don't they?
They certainly do, because like I said to you earlier, I saw a marathon runner as being an elite runner. Never thought I could do a marathon. I was so pleased when I did a half marathon. In fact, my first race was a 10K. I was pleased to do the 10K, but now to do 100 miles. That was actually 103 miles. It's quite something. I was very, very proud of that.
Did you not want to round that up to 105 just so you had like a more full number?
We've got the 105 this year.
Yeah, that's a Lakeland 100.
So that's got some extra elevation in it too. So
that's coming. So yeah, we'll have our 105 this year.
Wow, cool.
Hopefully.
I think we've just got one more question, haven't we?
Well, yeah, I was very keen to ask you about the YouTube journey, because you know, how we've met. We're very involved in that as well, and just sort of, I think, because we've spoken offline privately. You've told me, Gary, that you got the camera and it was just to document privately what you did, and then you thought you'd just stick it online and see what happened, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've got a successful YouTube channel.
Yeah, pretty much it was that. We just document our runs.
Well, it was
during lockdown. We were looking for different ways of entertaining ourselves. We looked at GoPros and decided that we'd buy a GoPro to just video our runs, to look back on for our own memories. We looked at the YouTube platform for basically storing those videos. So obviously we set them to public to see what would happen, and we'd find 1 or 2 people looking at them, subscribing, and then all of a sudden you got 10 subscribers, and it just goes up from there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Started that way, and then we had interaction with other people, with comments and stuff, and then we'd start looking at their channels, and it just seems to have snowballed. And now I think the last time I looked, we got 1,075 subscribers. So that's crazy.
Excellent. And your channel is quite unique, I think, because particularly your earlier videos, because you have started being a lot more vocal now, but your earlier videos, it was just no talking. You just film what you were doing.
Yeah, what we did, we kind of let the scenery talk for that, and we got a lot of positive comments. For us doing that. There's a few people that said that they don't like music and they don't like people talking too much. So it kind of like fit in with what we was doing.
Watch our channel then.
I think you do it very well, to be honest. And then I always felt a bit silly talking to a camera, you know, especially if you're passing people. I'm not exactly a totally outgoing person. I am quite shy, but I've now got used to that. And I just thought, you know, we would give it a go. We would start documenting where we're going, just so people, when watching our videos, can understand where we are at that particular time. And it seems to have worked. We've got a lot of comments, and then finally we've got Cheryl speaking in the past few videos, and again, even comments.
Was your first vocal appearance, was that on the Go, Cheryl?
I think it was. At the Cheviot.
Yeah, it was.
I took over at that point.
You
were very well at that point.
I had a bad day. So Cheryl took over the camera.
That's it.
And took on from there, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's a bit similar with me and Lee. When we first started our channel, Lee wasn't comfortable at all about being on camera, and it
wasn't not comfortable being on camera. It was more, I think you'll probably appreciate it, Gary, you know, like when you're in a race and you're next to other people who are huffing and puffing and trying the hardest, and then you whip out this camera and start talking to this camera, the sort of looks you're getting, like, what are you doing? You know, like that. It's an uncomfortable feeling. That's what I felt at first. It's uncomfortable being in that situation, doing that. But now, because we've done that much round here and the local events that we go to, most people do know who we are, and they expect to get a camera out and do it now. So it gets easier.
Yeah,
you know. So
it does. I just watched your latest one tonight, actually. You're doing a lot more talking early as well. It was a good video.
You know, you know this as well, Gary. Do you know how me and you have both got like the best cameras? You know, like the ones with like the 2 ones on the side instead of a 1 and a 0.
Yeah, 2 ones. It looks a lot better.
Graham unfortunately had a bit of camera trouble.
I did. My battery failed. That's why there was a lot of Lee. There was my battery went. So we still got plenty. I think Lee did a really good job.
He did.
But it would have obviously been enhanced if my camera was working.
Brilliant.
Now, as well, I mean, we've dropped this little hint on a couple of videos prior to this interview, but we have discussed about you two coming up to Northumberland again, and you quite fancy coming to run a local round that we have, the McWilliams round.
Yes.
Oh, definitely up
100% up for that. Yeah, 100%.
Because I fear that you left the Cheviot with a bad taste in your mouth after the goat, and I would like to take you on a beautiful route.
Cheryl,
And
Cheryl,
I absolutely loved it.
I was never
Did you?
coming back. I was never coming back.
I loved it. Amazing.
Less than 24 hours later, and I was coming back. That's all it took.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
well,
were.
we're all
you
going to
were-
be on it next year, aren't we? So
We certainly are.
That's
We'll all be on the
definitely.
start line. But yeah, we'll be seeing you for the McWilliams round. Is
we
Lee going to
finish, Ellie?
Of course he is. Of course
He'll
he is.
finish.
Comment. No comment. I'm sick of this bullying. Like, of course I'll finish. I'm going to finish it in 12 and a half hours.
Wow, now would be impressed.
If your knees work.
No, I'm finishing 12 and a half hours with a lift on the quad again.
Yeah. Now, would you two like to ask us any questions?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, one question I would like to ask you is, can you give us an example of your weekly training? What is it comprised of? What does it look like?
Well, we do always try and get out on a Sunday to do a long run together.
Yeah.
During the week, we tend to do different things.
I go every Wednesday night up
Yeah.
up to Wooler, and we are running the weekly Wooler race. That's every Wednesday, so I do that in the Cheviots.
I try and get up there when I can, but because of work, I don't get finished in time for to get up. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I get an early finish and I'll get up there. But yeah, I tend to just run locally during the week, and my mileage tends to be
Fluctuates, doesn't it, towards what we're doing?
It does, yeah. If I know I've got a long event coming up, I'll up my mileage to at least the distance of what that event is. So say if I've got a 50 miler coming up, I'll make sure I get 50 miles a week in. And then I might put a little bit more in about 2 or 3 weeks before the event and then drop off after that. Yeah, so that's generally it.
I think we're quite poor though at training.
We don't really follow a plan. We'll wing it.
We just
you know?
we run regularly, but we always say every time we get to an event, if it's a big one, that we should have trained more, we should have ran further every time. So I'm sure everybody's the same. But
what's your best running experience then? Like either races or just a training run that's gone exceptionally well?
Best, most memorable. For me, it has to be the Pilgrims last year.
second place.
Second place. Yeah. I mean, I was having a really, really good race, and I was out in front by, well, quite a distance, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously knees, the typical problem that I have, that set in again, and I still had like 20 odd mile left to go when the knees went, and I slugged it out, and honestly, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life to slug that out. But I don't think I would have done it if I wasn't in the sort of position I was in. If I wasn't in the sort of podium places, then I probably would have quit then. But because I was there, I couldn't stop. And the feeling I had when I got to the end, the sort of the sense of like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Relief.
Relief and sort of achievement, the sense of achievement at the end there I've never felt that before. So yeah, that was good.
I think for me, there's a local race called the Chevy Chase, and it's only it's 20 miles through the Cheviots, and I haven't been running that long. I only started in about 2019, and that always looked completely unachievable to me, like out of my league completely. And to have even just set off and never mind completed, that was it was a huge like barrier for me to get over. And once I got over that, I was like, right, I can do so much more. And so that was a big one for me.
Brilliant. I suppose that takes us on to your worst experiences as well. I mean, we all have those runs that didn't go as planned. We've had many. I just wonder if you two have had anything in particular.
I could probably see the Pilgrims again because the way my knees felt on it. But that was, in fact, no. Do you know what my worst experience is? My worst experience is post race, post the goat. After I dropped out, I didn't think I'd feel as bad as I would afterwards, because after it was all said and done, I thought it would just be like, oh, it's fine. You know what I mean? I'm just going to go and do it next year. But the sense of sort of disappointment just got worse and worse. So it's one thing I won't do again unless my legs fell off.
Got to experience that DNF, Lee.
Yeah.
For me, I had a nasty accident on Snowdon. I did the Three Peaks Challenge in 2008 and got into a lot of difficulty and spent the next 10 years mentally recovering from that. So this is all 2018 was my turning point. But I spent 10 years in a lot of difficulty because of that, if I'm honest.
Still has a wobble every now and then.
Oh,
honest,
I do.
like,
I'm shocking.
If there's a little bit of bad weather comes in, or something like a mist rolls in, and you cannot see where the path is, and that
it's the heebie-jeebie scale, isn't it?
Yeah, you do.
So I still get very frightened in certain situations, but I might make a video about it one day. I might return to Snowdon and tell my sorry tale. But
that would be interesting. Okay, so another question. We all have those days where we're not motivated and we really know we should go out for a run. What gets you out the door?
You try, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I know. Instead of going out trying to go out by myself, I know if I'm not in the mood for a run, if I ring Graham and say, "Do you fancy a run?" he'll say yes, and that'll pull me out the door, and vice versa. I think so. Yeah,
I think we are pretty reliable, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
And what we've found over the years is whoa, my phones and my technology are going crazy. What we've found over the years is if we arrange to do something, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
We don't make excuses. We don't try and get out of it.
No.
We just go for it.
So Northern Fell running. Okay,
Yeah.
So obviously Northern Fell running is you two. How did you meet? How did you come up with the name Northern Fell running? And basically, where did Northern Fell running start? Because I don't think you've ever told us that.
Well, Graham started it.
It goes back to my fears, my insecurities as being a novice runner and getting into the fell running world and being absolutely terrified. And there was no or very little information about the races that I wanted to do. And so I was looking online, looking on YouTube, and there was nothing. So I thought I would record my own little experiences and then put those races online. And I tried to add maps and GPX files to help other runners. That was the original plan. It seems to have veered off a little bit now. Now Lee's on board and I'm doing things that I hadn't planned on doing, really.
I sort of got dragged along for the ride to start with because we met through the gym because Graham actually used to go to the gym all the time, but he doesn't anymore. Our gym organised to go down to do OCR's Total Warrior. It wasn't it?
Yeah, we did a few of them, didn't we?
Did a few of them, and sort of fell into it that way. Like I say, I got dragged along with Graham as he had his camera, and I was in some of the videos that way. And I did the Great North Run one year, and Graham told us to take the camera and have a go with the camera, so I did. And from then, it was just sort of, when we got two cameras, it just sort of gave it a different dynamic because we're both runners of different capabilities, so we've got a different perspective in the race.
What are you trying to say?
Graham being at the front of the pack and me being at the back of the pack, you know. It does. It just gives it a different dynamic, you know, having two perspectives on the race, doesn't it? So
yeah,
that's where it went from there.
But we've got I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we have absolutely no plan. I've got no idea where this journey's going. There's all I want to do is hit 1,000 subscribers, which we're nearly about to crack that. But other than that, there is no plan, is there?
None.
Just keep doing what we're doing, and
just enjoy the ride and keep doing what you're doing.
We're just doing it for people who enjoy it and for ourselves. So yeah.
Is that the same for you guys? Is there a plan, or are you just letting it happen.
There's no plan at all. Just as you say, we just keep looking for more unique routes, races that interest us. We'll take the cameras along to those, and we'll keep doing what we're doing. And if people keep liking it, we'll keep doing that.
Yeah.
We are starting to get interest of some people, like some race organisers now are actually contacting me and saying, "Do you want to come and do a race?"
Yeah, the race we did on Saturday, that was
Yeah.
an invite, and we obviously made them a video for it, so it benefits us both. But have you had any of that?
We've not,
interest?
no, we haven't
No,
done that, but we
nothing
have
like
taken cameras along to races and just basically just recorded the experience. And we've had contact from the race organisers after the fact, and raising us on the footage. But again, it's, you know, if that helps other people make their minds up, they want to do that run, they want to know what the course is like, then the video's out there in the domain for them to look up and see for themselves what they're letting themselves in for.
Well, to all you race organisers that are in the Lakes, sort of Midlands area, if you want an amazing professional quality video, contact the trail running couple
Fantastic.
and give them a free race place, and they'll come and make you a video and plug your event.
And if they're not available, you might be able to get these amateurs.
Yeah, any challenges that they think we might be able to have a go at, or that we could go and have a go at, we're up for any kind of challenge as well. We'll take on.
We'll take anything.
Anything on just to see how we do. We like our routes, and we're running out of them very rapidly. So yeah, something new would be good.
Well, I think that's going to wrap everything up, because we only get a 40-minute slot on Zoom here. So thank you very much, guys, for doing this little interview with us. Really appreciate it. Links down below to the trail running couples YouTube channel. Go and check them out. Obviously, you can also check our channel out as well if you see this video. And thanks so much for doing this. We'll look forward to seeing you later in the year up in Northumberland again.
Yep.
Us too, definitely.
That's going to be fun.
William round. Can't wait.
Might be slightly less boggier.
Yes, we're going to take you on a beautiful route, not a boggy route.
Hope so. We won't need a canoe this time then.
No.
Nah.
Brilliant.
All right. Well, best of luck, guys. Keep the videos coming, and thank you very much for doing this.